In a debate that had everyone on edge, former President Trump tried to dominate the conversation with aggressive tactics. But Barack Obama's calm and calculated response left the room completely stunned. Watch as Obama effortlessly neutralizes attacks, delivers powerful facts, and shows exactly what leadership under pressure looks like. This is one debate moment you don't want to miss. The debate hall was buzzing with anticipation, the air thick with tension as President Trump leaned forward, his eyes fixed on Barack Obama. Cameras clicked. Reporters whispered, and a hush fell over the room. Trump, never one to hold back, decided to throw a jab sharp, calculated remark aimed at testing Obama's composure and rattling his audience. "You had your time, Barack," he said, his voice dripping with a mix of mockery and challenge. "But look at the mess you left behind. How do you defend that?" The room stiffened. Some of Trump's supporters cheered under their breath, convinced they had scored a point. Others shifted nervously in their seats, sensing the weight of the moment. Every eye was now on Obama. There was a charged silence, collective holding of breath. Obama leaned back slightly, his expression calm, almost serene. He didn't flinch, didn't raise his voice, and didn't appear rattled in the slightest. Instead, he let the moment linger, letting the tension build like a wave before the crash. Journalists scribbled furiously, noting the contrast between the fire of Trump's words and the stillness of Obama's presence. Then, with measured precision, Obama responded. His voice was soft but carried a weight that cut through the room like a laser. "You know, Donald," he began, his eyes meeting Trump's directly, "history will judge us not by what we say in these moments, but by the results of our actions and the impact we leave behind." The room froze. Every journalist, every politician, every camera operator leaned in. That single line, calm and unwavering, held the room in suspense. Trump's confident posture faltered slightly, his smirk wavering as Obama's words struck a chord beyond immediate political rhetoric. It wasn't just a rebuttal, it was a demonstration of control, of poise, and of undeniable gravitas. As Obama continued, he didn't need to raise his voice or engage in personal attacks. People remember the progress made, the policies that helped communities thrive, and the values we uphold when the cameras are off, he said. Each word was deliberate, each phrase crafted to emphasize resilience and a long-term perspective. The contrast between Trump's immediate aggression and Obama's calm articulation created an electric energy that rippled through the room. Trump, momentarily caught off guard, tried to regain control. "But Barack, people are still feeling the consequences," he interjected, his voice sharper now, attempting to regain his rhythm. Yet Obama's composure remained untouched, a silent refusal to rise to provocation. He allowed the statement to hang in the air before continuing. "And while we debate and critique in real time, the truth lies in the actions taken, not the theatrics presented for headlines or applause." Observers immediately recognized the subtle brilliance of Obama's strategy. By refusing to escalate, he transformed Trump's intended insult into an opportunity to showcase leadership. Social media users captured the exchange. Clips began circulating, and hashtags surged across platforms, praising the calm yet firm response. Analysts would later point to this moment as a textbook example of rhetorical mastery when restraint becomes more powerful than more aggression. The live audience, initially primed for a clash, found themselves leaning forward, caught in a web of tension and admiration. Even some of Trump's staunchest supporters felt the weight of the words. The debate had shifted not in volume, but in impact. What started as a pointed attack had been skillfully redirected, leaving the challenger exposed and the responder elevated as the cameras panned across the hall. One could see the subtle reactions, eyes widening, heads nodding, pens hesitating mid-scribble. It wasn't a victory measured in applause, but in influence. Obama had reminded the room and the viewers at home that composure, Clarity and calculated response could overshadow aggression, no matter how loud or sudden. In the moments following the exchange, whispers filled the backstage areas. Journalists speculated on the strategy, pundits debated the implications, and political commentators analyzed the layers of meaning embedded in Obama's words. The calm, measured reply had transformed a potentially confrontational debate into a masterclass of rhetoric, leadership, and timing. Even beyond the debate hall, the moment resonated. Clips went viral within minutes. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from admiration to surprise. Analysts dissected the exchange on every major network, comparing it to historical moments where restraint and poise had silenced critics and redefined the narrative by the time the next question arrived. The energy in the room had shifted. Trump's aggressive momentum had been interrupted, and Obama's controlled approach had set a new tone. It was more than a comeback. It was a demonstration of strategic patience. A reminder that sometimes silence measured observation, and precise words could carry more weight than any immediate retort. The debate resumed, but the atmosphere had shifted. Trump attempted to regain control, leaning forward with a forceful energy. His gestures sharp, trying to emphasize points with intensity that cut through the room. Barack, your administration left people struggling. The economy, the jobs, what about the promises you made? He said, his voice rising slightly, eyes darting across the audience for support. But Obama.com, as ever, didn't flinch. He allowed the question to settle, letting the tension build just enough before responding with clarity and purpose. Donald, he said, pausing briefly, leadership isn't about pointing fingers or reliving past controversies. It's about learning from challenges, correcting mistakes, and building systems that last beyond a single term. Every word landed precisely. Journalists noted the contrast. Trump's words were loud, reactive, and immediate. Obama's were deliberate, measured, and composed. The room seemed to lean in collectively, absorbing the impact. Even some audience members who were neutral observers could sense the difference in approach, one built on emotion, the other on strategy and thoughtfulness. Trump's supporters murmured, attempting to counter the calm, but the narrative had subtly shifted. Obama continued, his voice steady. The results of an administration are judged not by noise or immediate reaction, but by the policies enacted, the institutions strengthened, and the trust earned with the people. He paused, letting the words sink in. Nap moment. Cameras caught subtle shifts in facial expressions across the hall. Some of Trump's allies exchanged glances, realizing that the energy was no longer entirely in their favor. Meanwhile, commentators at the edge of the stage scribbled notes, understanding that this was a defining moment of composure versus confrontation. Trump, sensing the momentum slipping, leaned even closer to the microphone, his tone sharper, trying to regain dominance. But Barack, we're talking real numbers, real families, real consequences, he insisted, attempting to pierce through the calm aura that Obama projected. Obama tilted his head slightly, maintaining eye contact. And those numbers, he replied evenly, reflect the efforts of countless people. The systems we put in place, and the policies designed to empower communities, not just headlines. Understanding context is as important as pointing out mistakes. This subtle pivot was crucial. By framing the discussion around context, policy, and long-term impact, Obama shifted the debate from a reactive argument to a broader strategic perspective. The audience, initially prepared for a clash, found themselves following a narrative that emphasized leadership, responsibility, and vision rather than personal attacks. Social media, watching live feeds and clips, began to respond instantly. Tweets and posts exploded with commentary highlighting Obama's restraint and strategic brilliance. Hashtags praising his calm but firm response began trending within minutes. Analysts noted that this was a textbook display of turning an attack into an opportunity to showcase leadership without escalation, even within the debate hall. Whispers started circulating among journalists and observers. "He doesn't even need to yell," one reporter remarked quietly. And yet the entire room feels the impact of every word. Obama's technique wasn't just about content, it was about timing, delivery, and presence. As the exchange continued, it became clear that Trump's usual approach of aggressive interruption and rapid-fire points was being neutralized. Obama's strategy was simple but effective. Maintain composure, emphasize long-term results, and project authority without raising the voice. Every statement reinforced credibility, authority, and the contrast between his calm demeanor and Trump's reactive energy. By mid-debate, even Trump's closest advisors appeared tense, realizing that momentum had shifted subtly but decisively. Clips from the exchange were being circulated to networks, capturing not just the content but the stark contrast in demeanor. Between the two leaders, Obama's concluding remarks for this segment were particularly striking. "Criticism is part of democracy, and it's valuable when paired with solutions. Pointing out problems without offering solutions is noise. Leadership, in its truest form, provides answers, clarity, and direction." The room absorbed the words. Silence, followed by scattered applause from unexpected corners, underscored the effectiveness of his measured approach. The debate had transformed, not through confrontation, but through the power of calm, precise communication. As the cameras panned, journalists and political analysts recognized the significance. This wasn't merely a retort. It was a demonstration of strategic patience, a clear illustration of how composure can dominate even the loudest attacks. By the end of this exchange, Obama had subtly shifted the narrative, setting a tone of calm authority that would resonate far beyond the walls of the debate hall. The debate moved forward, but the tension had shifted. Trump, sensing that his previous attacks had failed to land, changed tactics slightly, attempting to frame the discussion around public perception. He gestured widely, emphasizing statistics and anecdotal stories, trying to ignite emotional reactions from the audience. "People are frustrated, Barack. They see the numbers, the headlines, and they know things aren't working," he insisted, his voice carrying across the room, sharp and insistent. But Obama, unshaken, listened carefully before responding. His eyes met Trump's for a brief, steady moment, signaling confidence and control. "Donald," he began, calm and deliberate, "I understand the concerns of the people. But leadership requires more than pointing out what went wrong. It's about creating sustainable solutions and ensuring accountability for the long term." This moment, subtle yet powerful, was what many analysts later described as the defining line of the debate. Whereas Trump relied on immediacy and intensity, Obama leaned on thoughtfulness and clarity. His delivery was measured, each word carefully chosen, each pause strategically placed to let his point resonate. Audience reactions were telling. While some nodded along in agreement, others seemed momentarily silenced, taking in the stark contrast between the aggressive tone of Trump and the composed, solution-oriented approach of Obama. Camera feeds captured slight shifts in body language, Trump's movements growing more animated, while Obama remained calm, projecting authority without aggression. Obama continued, highlighting specific policy achievements and contextualizing them for the audience. "It's not about blame. It's about results. Programs implemented during my administration have lifted families, improved education, and strengthened communities. When we focus on solutions rather than rhetoric, the work speaks for itself," he said, his voice unwavering. Trump attempted an interjection, aiming to counter the points with rapid examples of alleged failures. But Barack, look at unemployment, look at the numbers. Families are struggling. He pressed, leaning forward. the urgency in his tone attempting to break Obama's rhythm. Obama allowed a brief pause, letting Trump finish before responding with calm precision. "I hear your concern, Donald. Yet the facts show progress across multiple sectors. Progress doesn't always appear immediately in headlines. It manifests in the improved lives of ordinary people," he said, emphasizing the human impact rather than just statistics. The effect was immediate. Social media clips from the debate began circulating rapidly, highlighting this exchange. Analysts commented on how Obama's calm and methodical approach reframed the narrative, taking the focus away from Trump's reactive aggression and placing it on substantive leadership and credibility. In the debate hall, journalists leaned forward, scribbling notes, realizing that this segment would be widely quoted and analyzed in post-debate coverage. The room's energy had shifted subtly but noticeably. Obama had taken the floor and transformed the conversation without raising his voice. And the audience was responding to his composure. Even members of Trump's team were visibly affected. Their usual confidence in his aggressive debate style seemed to waver as they realized the challenge of countering someone who could respond with calm authority to every provocation. The power dynamic had shifted, not through conflict, but through controlled poise and thoughtful articulation. Obama pressed further, illustrating his point with a clear, concise example. "When we implement policy with care and foresight, the outcomes endure beyond any single administration. Leadership is about durability, not drama. It's about preparing for challenges the day after the debate, not just the moments on stage," he said, reinforcing the contrast between immediate reaction and long-term planning. Audience members leaned back slightly, absorbing the strategic wisdom behind his words. The atmosphere, initially tense and competitive, now felt contemplative. Media commentators noted that Obama's approach provided a blueprint for effective communication. Remain calm, focus on facts, and emphasize practical outcomes over emotional theatrics. Trump, frustrated by the shift, tried one last push, repeating points with raised volume and animated gestures. "Barack, the people are watching. They want answers, not lectures," he shouted, hoping to reclaim the energy. But Obama didn't respond with anger or urgency. Instead, he smiled slightly, acknowledging the emotion but maintaining composure. "The people deserve more than just noise," he said. "They deserve clarity, transparency, and a leader who can navigate challenges with reasoned judgment. That is what I aim to provide." The room, now quieter, reflected on the contrast. Social media users continued sharing clips, praising the calm yet authoritative approach. Comments and hashtags began trending, emphasizing leadership, composure, and strategic communication. Analysts concluded that Obama's measured response had turned the debate into a lesson in effective leadership under pressure. By the time this segment concluded, it was clear that the momentum had shifted. Trump's intensity could no longer dominate the narrative. Obama's calm, precise, and deliberate words had subtly reshaped the audience's perception of the debate. The power of thoughtful communication over aggression was now on full display as the debate progressed into its final moments. The tension in the room was palpable. Trump, realizing that his attempts to dominate the discussion had faltered, resorted to repeating points he thought would resonate with viewers at home. He leaned into rhetoric, his tone sharp and insistent, tempting to sway the audience through sheer force of volume rather than substance. "Barack, the people are frustrated. They're watching unemployment, inflation. The headlines, they see the problems." He insisted, his gestures wide and animated. But Obama, fully aware of the dynamics, maintained his calm demeanor. He stood with poise, his posture relaxed but authoritative eyes scanning the room to engage both the audience and cameras. "Donald," he said, his voice steady and even, "it's important to acknowledge challenges. Yes, but leadership isn't about repeating the problems louder. It's about presenting solutions that endure, solutions that improve the lives of ordinary citizens. The room seemed to collectively pause. Viewers, both in the hall and watching remotely, noticed the contrast. One candidate, aggressive and reactive, the other measured and composed. It was a textbook demonstration of how tone, delivery, and confidence could shape perception more effectively than volume or theatrics. Obama continued, offering concrete examples. When we implemented the Affordable Care Act, we ensured millions of Americans had access to health care. When we focused on education reform, we aimed for sustainable improvements that would last decades. Leadership is measured not by immediate applause, but by long-term results that strengthen communities. Trump attempted another interruption, pointing to specific media headlines. But Barack, look at the numbers. Look at the stories. People are losing faith. Obama, allowing a brief pause to let the statement land, responded with calm precision. Facts matter, Donald. And when we evaluate facts comprehensively, we see progress and setbacks. Our responsibility as leaders is to act on those facts constructively, not just react to headlines. It's about foresight, accountability, and sustainable solutions. The audience reaction was telling. A mix of nods, murmurs, and reflective expressions spread through the room. Cameras captured reactions of debate analysts and journalists, scribbling notes furiously. Clips of this exchange quickly started circulating online, with hashtags highlighting Obama's calm authority and strategic articulation. Even Trump supporters recognized the difficulty of countering a leader who spoke with clarity and poise. While his forceful delivery aimed to dominate, it increasingly felt like noise compared to the controlled, thoughtful responses being given. Obama's approach was not about winning in volume. It was about winning through reason, clarity, and credibility. As the debate drew to a close, Obama summed up his points with a calm but firm conclusion. Leadership isn't about theatrical displays or dominating conversations. It's about listening, analyzing, and making decisions that benefit the public. That is what I strive for every day, in every decision I make. The final moments of the debate reflected the culmination of this dynamic. Trump, visibly frustrated, gestured wildly, attempting to salvage momentum. But the impact of Obama's measured responses had already shifted perception. Audience members, moderators, and journalists noted how the debate had subtly yet powerfully pivoted away from reactive conflict toward constructive leadership. Social media response was immediate and overwhelming. Clips of the calm, decisive lines went viral, with millions of views within hours. Analysts praised Obama's ability to maintain composure under pressure, emphasizing how strategic communication can override aggression and spectacle. By the time the debate ended, one thing was clear. While Trump's approach relied on intensity and confrontation, Obama's method of measured, thoughtful responses had not only neutralized attacks but also framed him as the embodiment of leadership, calm under fire, and solutions-oriented in approach. This final segment reinforced a key lesson in public discourse. Authority, credibility, and clarity often resonate far more than noise, aggression, or theatrics. The audience left with a lasting impression of Obama's mastery of calm communication, a stark contrast to his opponent's reactive style. The debate concluded, leaving social media, newsrooms, and public discourse abuzz with analysis, clips, and discussions emphasizing the power of strategic, composed responses in high-stakes political arenas.